$17 million in 10 minutes. No hedge fund, no insider tip, no Wall Street desk. Just one guy in sweatpants, alone in a Tokyo apartment he almost never leaves, eating cup ramen. His neighbors had no idea he existed. Japan's biggest banks knew his screen name and feared it. He started with $13,000. He ended with over $150 million. And the trade that made him a legend? It only happened because someone else made the most expensive typo in history. This is the story of Takashi Kotegawa. Traders know him by three letters: BNF. It's the story of the most expensive typing mistake ever made, and of the strange, quiet superpower that let one man outtrade every bank in Japan from his bedroom. Stick around, because the lesson buried at the end is one you can actually use. And no, it's not learn to type. Tokyo, the year 2000. And to understand what this kid is about to do, you need to understand the room he's doing it in. Japan's economy has been face down on the pavement for 10 years. They literally call it the lost decade. Imagine an escalator that only goes down for 10 straight years. That's the Japanese stock market. Everyone who touched stocks in the 80s got burned so badly that an entire generation swore off investing completely. And that's the exact moment a college student in his early 20s decides to go all in. Kotegawa has saved up 1.6 million yen from part-time jobs, about $13,000. No finance degree, no mentor, no rich dad. He opens a brokerage account, sits down in a small apartment, and starts trading Japanese stocks at the single worst moment in living memory. The dot-com bubble is bursting. Markets are bleeding out worldwide. Dude, are you insane? The market is collapsing. Everyone is getting out. I know. That's the good part. Here's what he figured out, and I promise this is the only technical part of the video. His whole strategy was something traders call mean reversion. Sounds fancy. It's a rubber band. Stretch a rubber band way too far, and the one thing you know is that it wants to snap back. Kotegawa watched for stocks that had crashed way too hard, way too fast, below their average price over the past 25 days. Think of that average as the stock's normal body temperature. When panic dragged a stock miles below normal, he bought the panic. When it snapped back toward normal, he sold. And then he did it again, thousands of times. No predictions, no hot tips, no opinions about the economy, just the rubber band. Now here's where it gets weird, because winning wasn't the strange part. The strange part was everything else. Most people who start making real money buy things: a car, a watch, a personality. Kotegawa bought instant ramen. He barely left the apartment. He didn't drink, didn't party, didn't travel. He once explained that when his trading goes badly, food stops tasting good. So why bother with fancy food? The man optimized his entire life down to one activity: watching screens from before the open to after the close. Meanwhile, on a massive anonymous Japanese forum called 2channel, think Reddit, but everyone's wearing a mask, a legend was forming. Some anonymous user posting under the handle BNF, reportedly a nod to an American trader he'd read about, kept sharing his account balance as it grew. 13,000 became hundreds of thousands. Hundreds of thousands became millions. The internet did what the internet does. Fake. Photoshop. No way some random shut-in is beating the pros. Except it wasn't fake. By late 2005, 5 years in, the $13,000 had grown into tens of millions. Quietly, anonymously. One rubber band at a time. He later said something that explains everything about him. The money in his account stopped feeling like money. It felt like points in a video game. Remember that line. It's the key to the whole story, and it's about to matter enormously. Because on a cold Thursday morning in December, somebody at one of Japan's biggest banks is about to hand the entire market a once-in-history mistake. And out of every trader in Japan, all the banks, all the pros, all the supercomputers, the person who reacts best will be a guy in sweatpants holding cup ramen. December 8th, 2005, morning, Tokyo Stock Exchange. A small recruiting company called JCOM is having its very first day on the stock market. Its IPO, Champagne Day. A trader at Mizuho Securities, one of the largest financial groups in the country, gets a routine order. Sell one share of JCOM at 610,000 yen. Type it with me. One share at 610,000 yen. What he actually types, 610,000 shares at 1 yen each. The numbers are swapped. Traders call this a fat finger error, which is exactly what it sounds like, an autocorrect disaster. Except instead of embarrassing you in a group chat, it moves hundreds of millions of dollars. And this one is a monster, because JCOM only has about 14,500 shares in existence, total. This order offers to sell roughly 40 times more shares than the entire company, for 1 yen each. That's like listing your neighbor's house for sale at $1, except it's 40 houses, and 39 of them don't exist. The trading terminal actually throws up a warning. Are you sure? The trader clicks through it. Send. 9:27 a.m. The order hits the market, and JCOM's brand new stock instantly collapses. Mizuho realizes the mistake within minutes and frantically tries to cancel. And here's the twist of the knife. The exchange's own system has a bug, and the cancel order fails. They try again. Fails. Again. Fails. The unsend button is broken, and the most expensive typo in history is just sitting there, live, for the whole market to feast on. Across Tokyo, alone in his apartment, BNF sees the crash hit his screen. Now freeze right here, because this is the 10 minutes that made him a legend, and I want you to see what he saw. Everyone can see the price collapsing. Thousands of traders are staring at the same number. But panic is loud, and 5 years of silence had made Kotegawa very good at hearing through it. A sell order for 40 times more shares than exist isn't a crash. It's physically impossible, which means it's a mistake, which means whoever sold shares that don't exist will be forced to buy them back at almost any price because you can't deliver what was never real. While the market is still screaming, he starts buying 7,100 shares, which means that for a brief, glorious moment, a 27-year-old recluse in sweatpants owns roughly half of a publicly listed Japanese company before lunch. Cancel it. I'm trying. The button doesn't work. The exchange eventually has to shut the whole mess down and force a cash settlement, paying the people holding those phantom shares over 900,000 yen apiece. When the dust settles, Mizuho has lost around 40 billion yen, more than $340 million, vaporized by one keystroke. The president of the Tokyo Stock Exchange ends up resigning over the fiasco, and BNF? Just over $17 million in about 10 minutes. Completely legally, and here's the detail I love. Several giant international banks also pounced on the error, made millions, and then got publicly shamed into handing their profits back. The anonymous guy in the apartment had no shareholders to embarrass. He kept it. The media went into a frenzy, hunting for the mystery trader they nicknamed the JCOM man. When they finally found him, they got a shy, mumbling 27-year-old who seemed to find the whole fame thing genuinely annoying, gave a few awkward interviews, and went right back to his screens. Reportedly, dinner that night? You already know. Cup ramen. Now, if this were a movie, that's the ending. It's not. Because the JCOM trade, the thing he's famous for, wasn't even his best work. It was one good day in a career of them. He kept doing the boring thing, the rubber band, over and over. And by the end of 2008, his account had grown to around 21.8 billion yen, roughly $185 million, from 13,000. And then October 2008. Think about what's happening in October 2008. Lehman Brothers has just collapsed. The global financial system is on fire. Everyone on Earth is selling everything. So naturally, the man who buys panic goes out and buys an entire office building in Akihabara, Tokyo's famous electronics district. 9 billion yen. Reportedly, essentially in cash. The tenants had never heard of their new landlord. A decade later, it reportedly sold for around 12 billion. The rubber band, but in concrete. And then, silence. He faded from view. No fund, no book, no course to sell you, which, let's be honest, is itself proof he's the real thing. Japan's greatest retail trader exists today as a handful of grainy photos and a legend. Somewhere out there is a man who could buy the building you're sitting in right now, and if the stories hold, he's watching a screen, and there's probably ramen involved. So what do we actually take from this? Because here's the uncomfortable part. You probably shouldn't try to copy his trades. He said himself that most people who tried to imitate him lost money, and the statistics on day trading are brutal. That part of the story isn't repeatable. But the real edge is, and it has nothing to do with typing speed. Every trader in Japan saw the same JCOM crash on the same screens at the same moment. The information was identical. The reactions weren't. Kotegawa won because he had spent 5 years building a life with no noise in it. No pundits, no ego, no image to defend. Money that felt like game points, so fear couldn't reach the part of his brain doing the math. When the once-in-history moment arrived, he didn't have to become calm. He already was. That's the repeatable part, not the trade, the design. Whatever your version of trading is, your career, your savings, your big decisions, your edge isn't secret information. It's the environment you build around the decision. Cut the noise, know exactly what your one move looks like, and be patient enough to wait for it. He waited 5 years for 10 minutes. Most people can't wait 10 minutes for anything.